Come on.
They're right there!
Let's go. Move, 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 move.
This episode of Choices Not Chances podcast is sponsored by Louisiana Gun Shop, located on Highway 90 West in Broussard, Louisiana, just south of Lafayette. For more information, stay tuned at the end of this episode. This is Choices Not Chances podcast with Ryan and Matt. I'm your co-host, Matthew Charette. Sitting next to me is Ryan Rogers.
Hey guys, thanks for coming back with us. We have our first returning guest, Johnny motherfucking Glenn, and he was on briefly on 9/11 to do a commemoration talk about that and kind of just overview emotions and feelings of things going around from vets. We did our thing, and now we're kind of going to get into your career, and I think this it's important for me at least to understand how your life was early life, like single parent household, double parent household, siblings, sports, that kind of stuff.
So I grew up in a little small town called Bainbridge, Georgia. Well, actually, it was Bainbridge, Georgia, but then we stayed in a little town called Cyrene, Georgia. And I grew up on a family farm. We lived on Glenville Road. Everybody on the road was Glenn's. Everybody's athletic, very, just outdoor people. And I grew up doing a lot of fishing and hunting. So had a younger brother, younger sister. I was the oldest of the siblings. And then after that, I graduated in 1995 on June 5th. And I left for the Army on June 6th.
Done. And now, did you play sports in school growing up?
I did. I played football, basketball, baseball. I played all sports. Pretty good athlete. And then joined the military after that.
You didn't run track?
No, I didn't run track.
I just figured because you run all the time now that might have been your forte then.
No, I think I just fell in love over the years, man. Just being in the Army, I just fell in love with, I had a lot of guys on the team that were runners, and I just kind of fell in love with running at that point. But I've never.
Are you a Goggins fan?
No, not really, man. I've seen some of his podcasts. I like the guy. Don't get me wrong. I like some of the stuff he stands for, but he seems to be a pretty decent guy. I like to go out and train with him.
I just know he runs too.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine. We was going to set it up, Seal in the Green Beret. I'll go out and, hopefully he watches this and I go out and smoke him one day. So, hey, Goggins, Johnny motherfucking Glenn's calling you out. So, hey, dude,
damn.
Set it up. We'll come out. Hey, we'll go.
I'll set it up.
Yeah, set it up. As a matter of fact, I'm scheduled to do a 50K next month. So, set it up. Let's go do something.
That's 5-0.
I like it.
All right, I'll sponsor it.
Let's do it. I like it.
Yeah. All right, Goggins, you heard it. Been called out. Let's run it up. So Johnny's our first Army guest, and we're going to kind of get into that now. Not too much. I mean, you played all sports growing up, and both parents in the house?
Yep, mom and dad.
Both parents in the house, mom and dad. Religion?
We were Southern Baptist, and my mom was real big Southern Baptist, so we went to church Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I remember one time I asked my mom, how can God help us when, we're praying all the time? He can't help nobody else. And after she backhanded me, I never said anything about God again.
Yeah, you let that one lie.
Yeah, I let that one go. Yeah, that one was done.
That's Southern Baptist.
Oh, yeah, that's Southern Baptist right there. Oh, yeah. Never heard a curse, but she swore about 3-4 times after that.
Oh, boy, yeah. Yeah, that's good. Okay. And so, 95, what was, walk me through the, your decision-making process in joining. Was there a catalyst when you were younger? Is it a bloodline? Is it a...
Well, I liked the movie Rambo first time I saw it. Fell in love with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up a big hunter, as you know, like deer hunting, dove hunting, quail hunting, turkey hunting. If it walked and it was in the woods and I had a gun, I'm shooting it,
Mm-hmm.
And so basically joining the military, I wanted to go to college and play sports, of course, but my family, we couldn't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking hopefully I can get a partial scholarship. If that didn't work, then I think I'm just joining the military. I had a couple older cousins that joined before me, and when they would come home, everybody just thought that was cool. I'm like, man, that's pretty cool. And so I went to go take the SATs down at Florida State. I'm taking the SATs and got about halfway through it, and I was like, nah, dude, this ain't for me. This old classroom and book thing, I'm like, nah, I'm out of here. I got up, and I won't ever get it. The lady was like, sir. I was like, hey, ma'am, this ain't for me, and I walked out, left. And as I was going downstairs, I'm leaving there off of Capitol Boulevard, and I saw a local recruiting station. I walked in there.
From the test?
From the test. And my plan was actually to join the Marine Corps because I thought their uniforms was cool. I'm like, dude.
They are. They're the best.
Yeah.
And they had the knife, and they had a sword, and they had them uniforms. I'm like, oh, yeah, dude, that thing looks good. And I walked in there.
Johnny Glenn looked good in a set of blues, wouldn't he?
Right?
I think I would, dude.
Yeah,
and so I walked in the recruiting station. The Marine Corps guy was the first guy there. He was gone. So, and the Air Force guy was the next guy. He was gone. So when I opened the door, and I'm like, man, ain't nobody in here. And the Army guy stepped out. He's like, hey, can I help you? I was like, hey, is this guy around? He's like, no, have you talked to him? I was like, no, I haven't talked to him, but I want to join something. He's like, I got you. And I won't ever forget it. He pulled me back. He said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to kill people and blow shit up. That's exactly what I told him. He said, I got you. He took me in a little room and put a video in. It was a recruitment video. And I think I signed that day.
Boom.
Yeah. I preliminary signed that day, but then I had to get my parents' consent.
Right.
And after that, dude, I was gone.
It's funny. We just a couple weeks ago, no, last week we had James Finney episode air, and he said the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Except for he made it through a semester, and he was taking a final, looked at his final, and said, I don't know any of this. And just like got up, walked out.
And the teacher tried to stop him. She's like, whoa, where are you going? He's like, ma'am, with all due respect, I don't want to waste either of our time. I don't even understand what you have on this paper. And he went to the recruiter from there.
That's awesome.
And so it's like, that's funny to hear.
Yeah, I went right from the SAT.
And so then you make it formal with your parents, you sign the paperwork, and then you're depped in, and then you ship to boot camp, I assume?
Shoot straight to boot camp. Yep.
Georgia? Okay.
Yep. Went down to boot camp, got done with boot camp, and I did a split out thing, so that's why I had to get my parents' consent. So I signed my 11th grade year. I went to base training my 11th grade year, came back, and then went to my AIT in my senior year when I graduated. And then got done with AIT and went straight to Fort Lewis, which was my first duty station.
As an 11 Bravo?
Yep. And then I went in there as a scout. Got in scout platoon, and then everything's pretty much history, man. What ended up happening, it's crazy because I got to Fort Lewis, and my commander, my team leader and squad leader and all those guys, like, man, my commander, I won't ever forget it, my first sergeant, he pulled me aside, went out one weekend, I got in trouble with the guys, we were out there fighting or whatever. And my first sergeant put in his office, he's like, hey, look here, Private Glenn, you got a good future ahead of you, and these guys are following you, because all these guys are E4s. I was a little PFC. He's like, these guys are following you, why don't you lead them the right way? I'm like, Roger, that first sergeant, whatever, dude, I'm just ready to get back to the club, fight, have fun.
Yeah.
I'm 19 years old, I just want to have fun. And so probably about a few months after that, I've been in the Army for a while, and I'm like, all right, man, I'm really starting to like this. I saw I was more athletic than, most of my peers. My PT test scores were a lot higher. I'm like, all right. So then I end up making E3. They promoted me to E3, and then I'm standing outside the company one day, and back then they had an old post that had a green beret on it, and all it said was, do you have what it takes? And my commander walked out. His name was Jeffrey Butler. So if you're watching this, sir, get in contact with me, because I hadn't talked to him since. I remember he walked out his office, and he goes, hey, do you have what it takes? I looked at him, I go, I don't even know what the fuck it is, sir, but I got it. That's exactly what I said to him. He's like, yeah, Glenn, I'm sure you do. You need to go talk to a recruiter. And I went and talked to a recruiter, and the recruiter told me at the time I went to SF, you had to be an E4 in the Army.
Yep.
Like you had to have that much time in the Army or whatever, yada, yada. Because it was pre-war, so they wanted a little more experienced guys.
Yeah.
So I went and talked to a recruiter, and the recruiter was like, hey, once you become an E4, come talk to me. I said, roger that. So I went back, told my commander, like, hey, sir, I can't do nothing until I'm E4. And he looked at me and he says, before I leave this company, you will be an E4. I was roger that, sir. Well, dude, it wasn't 4 months, man. It wasn't 4 months. He came on orders levy to go to, they sent him to DC for something, because he's probably one of the best commanders, sharp commander. And he promoted me with the waiver, dude. He was a man of his word. They came beating on my door one morning, like, hey, wake up. And he was like, hey, get a uniform. I'm like, all right, cool. Put a uniform with one downstairs. I had no clue what was going on. I basically got promoted to E4 with the waiver. And he's like, hey, I kept my end of the deal. You keep your end of the deal. So, dude, I went back down to the recruiter like, hey, let's do this.
And he's looking at his watch like, or
he
his
said-
calendar. He's
Yeah,
flipping
exactly.
his calendar like, what the hell?
Yeah, like, how does this
He
guy,
sets Johnny Glenn on a path of greatness right up.
He did, and Johnny Glenn had no clue what he was doing, dude. I had no clue what SF was. I had no clue what a Green Beret was. All I knew was that post said, "Do you
had what it took."
Yeah, and actually, which leads into the next thing is that I was a 21-day non-select. Actually,
What's that?
so you go through selection, and if you were a 21-day non-select, that means you graduated selection. They send you to a board, and my board was what they said on my board was I needed more experience. Go back and get more experience.
They're saying you didn't fail. We like what we see. But,
dude,
but you're not there yet.
Oh yeah, I was first in every run. I was first in every run.
But
like,
I mean, that's essentially what it is.
yeah, that's essentially what it is. Like, hey, dude, you're not where we
So
want
would they
you to
just
be.
roll you?
Well, what you do is you go back and then you're supposed to get more experience. I went to my first selection class was like in May or June, I think. Mm-hmm. And coming back, when I went through selection, you would get 30 days convalescent leave to let your body heal. Dude, I went back that next class. Cool. So 2 months later, I went back.
And you smoked it again.
Smoked again, yeah.
And then you get selected.
And I get selected. And the guy, the
Do
commander.
you think
at the
it's
time,
an attrition thing? Like, does he really want it?
Yeah, I think-
he's young. He has time.
yeah.
Does he really want it?
I think it's one of them things where they looked at me like, look, dude, this kid's 19 years old. I think I was like 18, 19 years old, fresh out of high school. I really didn't have no military experience. But tactics and all that came natural just because I spent most of my life in the woods.
In the woods, yeah.
So that was easy to me. But I think that at the end of the day, like you said, is one of them things where I honestly think, send this guy back, let him get some experience. We know he's there physically fit. He's physically fit, but mentally, can we send him to a country, and hey, dude,
and have him be a
representative
of the United States?
Like no joke. Like when I signed in a group in '99, dude, my first deployment was a JSET, and I'm telling a basher how to run his security. You know what I mean? At 20, 21 years old. So, yeah, dude. So,
and they probably wanted a little more maturity too.
I always find it inspiring. Just thinking about service inspires me, but the fact that, like, what people don't realize is the decisions that 20-year-old kids are making.
Oh yeah.
And they do it with.
Oh, don't even hesitate,
bro.
Oh yeah.
I mean, okay, yeah, I have to go advise this ambassador that's 50-something years old, and I'm 20. Roger. Sir, this is what you need.
Yep.
And the services, I'm not hating on the Army because SF is a totally different, like regular Army is totally different the way they operate. But in the Marine Corps, we delegate, and I know you guys delegate authority down hard. So you want that, you don't want, a centralized command. You want decentralized chain of command.
Exactly.
You want your pipe hitters out there that may be Lance Corporals in the Marine Corps at 20 years old. You want them to be able to make a tactical decision on your behalf when they need to without calling you.
Yep.
And so we're really good in the United States about pushing all of our stuff down to the lower levels and then controlling it from the top.
Right.
And that's inspiring to know that you have those people, those men that held a job that went out there and they could do those things at 21, 22, 23 years old. It's inspiring. So you go to the, would you say JSET?
Yeah, JSET.
Is what that's called. So you do some advising, and that's 99?
Yep.
Okay.
To Kenya. Went to Kenya. And we was training Kenyans, Ugandans, and Tanzanians.
How was that?
It was good. It was
the
actually
side of the
good.
world I've never, or an area of the world I've never been.
I love it, dude. Africa's amazing. And the soldiers are so disciplined because, unlike the U.S., those countries are fighting wars where they're...
All the time.
Yeah, all the time. Little pocket wars all the time where there's warlords or drugs or whatever. They're fighting true wars.
Yeah. They got some bad cleansing going on in Africa.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Even today still, they have some bad times to be over there. Yeah.
Yep. And I remember we actually had a female in our squad. It was pretty crazy. In one of the squads we were teaching, her name was Jackie, and she had already had confirmed kills, man. And she was a beast.
A Ugandan? Or
she was a Kenyan.
Okay.
She was a Kenyan female squad leader. Dude, I watched her do
about 15. She had dudes
15,
in her command?
Oh, yeah. I watched her do about 15, 20 pull-ups one day. She was strong. Didn't look like a female. She had manly features, but she was still a female. But, dude, I'm talking, she was a beast, man. She was a beast, legit beast. Yeah. Have confirmed kills already. I'm like, oh, my God, dude, that's awesome.
No, I don't know about confirmed kills, but I ran the first class through ITB, Infantry Training Battalion, of females. Because they were trying to integrate, and they were thinking about having females in the infantry.
Right.
And we're trying to get lioness outfits out there and FET teams and stuff.
Yep.
And man, my very first class having female. I mean, I was that Marine. I mean, fuck this. Why are we changing? This, that, and the other thing. And did we change some standards? Maybe they did. Maybe it was for the better. Maybe not. However, my honor grad of that class was a female. She was harder than every one of them boys.
Good deal.
And it's like. That opened my eyes up a little bit. Let me scope out, like, hang on a second. Yeah. And then I started doing research, and you got full Israeli scout sniper platoons that are all women.
All women.
And they were some of the most renowned sniper outfits that were out there, right? So, say what you want, but there's some women out there that are harder than woodpecker lips on every day. So
I definitely agree.
Yeah. So, so you leave the Tanzania and Kenya deployment.
Come back to Fort Bragg, and then we just basically, like I say, pre-war, all you did was train.
Yeah.
You mean you're training. I'm talking every day we're training. And back then we would do what was called EDRES, Emergency Deployment Readiness Exercise. So what they would do is you would just get a phone call, hey, in 6 hours, you need to be in the team room in an hour. You go to the team room for an hour, and then, it's orchestrated from the battalion and the groups. And then it's supported by the battalion and groups and all of SOCOM. But you would get called up for an EDRE, you get a mission, you go out to Camp McCall, and you would go into isolation. And then you would.
Was this like a timed? How fast can you be ready?
How fast can you be ready? And then time sensitive mission, like ours was to recover like a computer that was, it was used in like weapons of mass destruction. And so we planned for like a day, and then we got picked up by a helicopter, flew to a place I don't know where we flew to. Then they put us in like a C-130, flew around. It was just a map of the Earl. You're just flying around. For
disorient
hours,
you.
Just to disorient you. And then we landed, got off of that, then we got put into like a Cessna, and then we jumped into a guy's pasture.
Low or high?
And it was a low one. It was just I think it was at like 3,500 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just regular static.
Was that static line?
It was static line. Yeah. So we jumped into this pasture, and dude, we were all jacked up, man. And because they spotted it wrong. Whoever spotted it wrong, and we had guys on the side of a river. Dude, it took us.
Hey, that sounds like maybe reality,
but it was reality.
Maybe
it took us
good training.
It was great training. It took us almost 4.5 hours to link up, and it was almost daybreak, and we finally got everybody linked up. One guy jacked up his ankle real bad, so now we're moving to our objective, which was probably I think 30-40K. So we're moving to our objective, hoping we could have hit ground and cover half of that night, but we didn't. So now, everything's kind of getting pushed right. And they're like, hey, the target will still be on target by this time. So now they're telling us, hey, you need to hurry up. So now we're building litters to, carry our...
He couldn't walk?
I got not.
Ambulatory dude?
Oh, dude, he's all jacked
Broke up?
Yeah, it didn't break it. It just sprained it up real bad.
Time.
Yeah, so he made about halfway. And then after that, we basically just set up a fucking, just a holder spot for him. Like, hey, dude, we're putting you here. Leave security with you. We're going to make mission.
Yeah, we can't make it with carrying.
Sure. Can't make it carrying. So then we go make mission, dude. We hit the target like we're supposed to. Snipers take shots. We go in. We do a day hit. Pull the computer out. As we're pulling the computer out, there's a female on the objective, and she's American. Like, dude, you got to be kidding us. So now we got to bring this female out with this dude, which wasn't bad because she was in great shape. She was a good role player. We're bringing her out, and then all of a sudden she twists her ankle in the mountain too. We're like,
for real?
She twists her ankle, dude. Oh, Lord. Luckily, she's about 120 pounds, man, 130 pounds. Right over your shoulder, dude. Exactly.
Yep.
And that's what we did, man. Just took turns, kept moving her back. Yeah. So then we get back, man, scoop up our guy. We get heloed out, go back, get our debrief. Like, everything was good, but now we know, like, hey, dude, this is what you're playing for. You can't plan for this, can't plan for that.
Yeah, man.
But it was good training.
That's great training.
It was awesome, dude. Phenomenal.
That's great training.
Murphy's a dick.
Murphy is.
Yeah, we talked about training a little bit last night, and I wish I was better when I was younger because I didn't have reality smack me in the face hard enough to tell me to train harder when I was in the rear. I always want to come home and I trained. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But when I got smacked in the face in Marja, and I come home from a real kinetic fight where, dude, training to me became everything.
All right.
Like, there's not enough time for us to train you everything you need to know. So we need to train every waking moment, and then we need to do blackout training at night, and then we need to go back and train some more because you don't have time. And that was my mindset following that deployment. Boom, boom, boom. I just wish I had that before that because I could have made more lethal forces.
Oh, yeah.
If I would have, it's a maturity thing. I was young, trying to learn the ropes kind of thing, and there's a million excuses. Bottom line was I just didn't have that smack of, hey, you need to do this all the time. Yeah. Kind of thing. So.
A lot of it too, though, is that you're young and you're invincible. Well, at least you think you are. Because I remember when I was young, dude.
Which is a necessary emotion and feeling to have when you're going down range. Sure.
Yeah.
You need to think that.
Because when I first came to SF, man, it was older dudes. That's why they wanted a maturity level. And I remember, dude, we go out and do like a 10, 15 mile ruck. And I get back like, all right, what are we doing the rest of the day? And guys are like, hey, man, we're taking a 4-day. That's it. I'm like, dude, we ain't done it. All we did was walk, 14, 15 miles.
What are we going to do when we get there?
What are we going to do when we get there? You know what I mean? Exactly. But when you're young, your recovery time is faster.
Oh, man.
Right. So you go take a nap and you're like, hey, dude, I can do that again. Where as you get older at like we are now, I call myself a fag, a former action guy. So I'm a fag now. So if I go out and I run a marathon today, give me 2 days. I need 2 days. Body's okay, but I just need 2 days to
mentally clear that out.
Mentally clear that out and push all that lactic acid out. So when you're younger, I think the more you train as you're younger, you don't really know what you're doing, but you're training. But as you get older, you
realize the why.
Oh, yeah. Just like guys always say, hey, front sight, you're shooting a pistol. It's front sight, front sight, front sight. Dude, I was in my 30s before I really actually like, holy shit, dude, I'm seeing the rounds come off the injector. I'm so dialed in on my front sight. I've always been a good shooter, but now it's like I'm controlling.
And then if you have all people of that experience level operating on a team, God damn it.
It's amazing.
Lethal.
That's the beauty of a team like
That's why I wanted to be... And the end of my career, I tried to go to MARSOC. We talked offline about it. That's why I wanted to be there.
Right.
I wanted to be there because I wanted to be in a place that everybody had to sacrifice the same amount as me voluntarily.
Yep.
And then when they get there, that is their life. That is their. And when you have that, then you're going to be beside. And don't get me wrong. When we went to Marja, I couldn't have asked you for a better command, a better element, a better structured battalion within the Marine Corps. It was by far the best, and it was the best. Right when I needed it to be a good one, right? So I'm not hating, but I do like. And here's the other thing: how long is the constitution of your team?
It just depends. You know what I mean? Like me, luckily, and I'm not bragging.
Is it one deployment?
No. So the way we're set up is 4 to 6 months is what we're going to do, depending. You know what I mean? It usually depends on the mission, but usually 4 to 6 months. And it could be adjacent.
My question is, how many men are in your team?
12
How long are those 12 men together?
years.
Years.
Yeah.
And they know each other.
Oh,
In the
left to
Marine
right.
Corps, you do a deployment, you come back, it's shuffle,
Yeah.
new guys, shuffle leadership, and then you go again. And it's like, I understand why I understand
Big
partially
Marine,
why
yeah.
you do that. Because it's hard and people need promoted and you need to move
Right.
them around. But it's like, if we're in the profession of warfighting and our goal is to become as absolute lethal as we can, then maybe we need to restructure that to keep company level guys and platoon level guys together a little more often. Even if you shrink, like right now, the Marine Corps is in a big, I don't know how much you know about the
Right.
big shuffle up there in, but they're in a whole op force shuffle where they're changing the way that infantry Marines are going through pipelines. They're learning every weapon. They're learning, like, it's 03XX. You're going to learn all of them. Bubbling mortars, Carl Gustav. You know, you're going to learn all of it. And then as they, instead of just saying you, and you are going to be machine gunners, you, which is typically how we did it off of a GT score. But you might have a hell of a machine gunner that you put in a mortar section, can't bubble a 60 for shit, but he could really handle a 240.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of taking that away. So this new initiative, this new drive is to help that. And I think that'll help. But if the Marine Corps would just leave people together for a couple deployments, let's say 2.
Yeah, could you imagine if we did a second deployment?
Oh my God. It
Makes
would,
a difference.
Like,
oh
makes a
man.
difference.
I mean, cause you got, and that's the same way the SEALs work. The Army works that way. Our SOCOM, like MARSOC, they're together for a long time in a team.
Right.
And you wonder why they're so lethal and they're so good at their job. It's like, yeah, these same dudes are living, training, breathing together for multiple years. It's not like you have to reset with a whole new squad on the next deployment and train them all the same stuff up again. You know, you know each other like the back of your hand.
Oh, yeah.
I think the downfall to that is you're so close with each other that when you take a hit, that hit's usually hard. It seems
is.
like,
Yeah, it's
because
real hard.
you're involved with each other's families. You're
Oh, yeah.
involved on a best friend brotherhood level, and we have our
We do
brotherhood.
that
Don't
with
get
one.
me wrong, but yeah, you gain that with one deployment. Now let's be together for 4 years,
yeah.
Right.
and then what? And so that, I think that hits harder, but
it's all pros and cons and all that.
sure, but
It is.
if the end state is mission accomplishment, and mission accomplishment means that we can be anywhere, do anything, and take anybody down, that's a lethality question. And if it's more lethal to leave people together, then maybe you restructure how you got things going. And then that's the outside the box, maybe in my mind, but then the inside the box says, yeah, but it's worked for 215 years this way, or however long that we've been doing it. And it's like, yeah, that's a good point.
Right.
You know, so
But they've changed it over the years too, so.
that's true.
Yeah. And a lot of it, I think, like where I came from in SF, I got fortunate. I stayed on ODA my whole career. My whole career I was on a team, dude, kicking doors and doing
All the way
thing.
through.
All the way through. And then
That's
when they told me
amazing.
I had to go to SWIC, which is our school hall, Special Warfare Training Center, when they told me I came up on orders to go to SWIC, my little brother Dave Glenn had got blown up on my team. So they messed up our...
Brother, like your blood brother?
Well, he's
Was
not
on
my
your
blood
same-
brother, but I call him my blood
Gotcha,
brother. Yeah.
gotcha.
Same
So
last
Damn, they put y'all on the
last
same
name.
team?
Yeah, same last name. And he got blown up, and I remember I went to Sergeant Major. He's like, hey, man, I came up on SWIC orders, but they declined them, or they turned them down. He's like, what do you mean turn them down? So my old Sergeant Major at the time, Jeff Wright, he called DA. He was like, hey, I got a Sergeant Glenn here. Y'all pulled his orders. What's the deal? And the lady's like, well, how's he doing? He's like, he's doing fine. He's standing right in front of me. She's like, oh, how's he recovering? Oh, he's recovering good. I'm like, and I'm telling him, like, hey, don't say nothing, because right then I already knew they messed something up.
Yeah.
And
So
you didn't want
basically-
them to change it.
Heck no, because I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
want to go to. Nobody wants.
You
to
want
go
to stay at the
school.
team.
I want to stay at the team. So once they canceled, I was like, yes. So I stayed on the team then.
And they did it just because they thought you
They
were
thought it was
the
me,
one
yeah.
that was injured.
Oh yeah, and then what ended up happening? So what ended up happening? I come back, and then he ends up recovering very well. Stay on the team, and then I think 2007 I came up on SWIC orders again. I'm like, nah, dude, I ain't going to SWIC. What can I do? So I dropped a warrant packet. So as a warrant, I go as a warrant. Now I'm on warrant. I got to go back to the team. I'm like, yeah, I'm liking this. So then I go back to the team, dude. And I do
Did you
another.
get the warrant?
Oh yeah. So I became a warrant, and then I retired as a W3. But I went back to the team for another 8-9 years. So I did
Sick,
20
dude.
years on the team, man. 20 years on the
Sick.
team. Yes.
That's awesome.
All on the team. They loved it, man. So I was like, yeah, this is gonna work. I like this.
Well, we gotta wind that back so we can get the full 20.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
And
Through.
so yeah.
Maybe
and so
not line by line,
I
but
got
get,
you. And where I think SF for the most part, it's changing now, but where I think we doing it right, even with MARSOC, RSOF, all that spec op units, guys don't want to ever take a break.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what we do. We're hitters.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like when you start putting guys on orders is where you mess up that whole dynamic. You know, like I got buddies that went to SWIC. I ain't gonna say it ruined their careers, but they were pissed being there. So now you got these guys as students. Yeah, you got them as students being there, or you know they're in front of students. They're hating their job. So now it's just like whatever. I'm just gonna smoke the hell out of students just because I don't want to be here. So I told my sergeant major one time, I was like, hey, sergeant major, instead of you bringing guys on orders, why not just have guys volunteer to go to SWIC? Because some guys would.
Yeah, some guys
know,
need a
like,
break.
hey, dude, I need a break. That guy, if you let him volunteer to go there, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a lot better him being there.
Because he wants to be there, yeah.
Because him getting voluntold, yeah. So they were real good about it.
What happens, though, when you switch to that policy and you don't have the quota that you need?
Then you do the whole
then you're back in the same boat.
Then you're back kind of in the same boat. But I think for the most part, you would get enough guys saying, hey, dude, I need a break. After, 6, 7, 8 deployments, dude, hey, I need a break. Because it ain't the guys that are telling them, it's their wives and their families. Like,
yeah,
hey,
absolutely.
Help me with the kids. And, and then they start where I'm at. They would start offering guys like schools like Halo School or Sniper School. Some guys aren't going to normally get on a team. You can get it, but you go on that order of merit list, and it might be 3 years. But, hey, Sergeant Major, you send me to SWIC, can I get a school out of it? And guys are like, yeah, I'll give you a school out of it.
Kind of barter.
Yeah. Barter with them, and guys would go, man. I think guys would literally, hey, dude, I need
Have you put that up to Big Army?
No, I haven't.
Why?
I don't know, because I'm going to be honest with you. When it comes to Big Army, bro, I couldn't tell you. Dude, like when we have to do Big Army stuff.
I mean, you're an influential character in that in that area, though.
Got you, yeah. And not saying we don't know a lot about the Army, but dude, if you want to see something funny, get a bunch of Green Berets and tell them to do drill and ceremony. Hilarious, dude.
Yeah, dude.
They're just running into each other. It's stupid, dude. Like when we would have like ceremonies, dude, they'd be like, all right, bring your men to, attention. And guys are like, oh my God, like we have no clue because that's you learn that stuff in basic training, but you don't learn it to the extent.
You're not doing it in the Green Berets.
Heck no, dude.
No.
You should see us, man. Like, all right, formation. Not saying it's bad, but if you tell us to go into country X, like Afghanistan, and do this, and this, that's when we shine.
You're gonna like what you see.
Oh yeah, if you bring a gun out, you're like, hey, dude, I need this gun to work. Watch us do our job.
Watch what's fixing to happen.
Yeah, watch what's fixing to happen. But if you do like basic paperwork, man, I remember, like I went to Ranger School without orders, man, like totally.
Just showed up like, hey, I'm here.
I kind of showed up back in the day. It probably ruined my career back in the day, but kind of showed up there, and I had a S1 kid I won't ever forget, man. Just back then it was all Microsoft Word, and he just basically put my name on a kid that went to Ranger School with orders, changed the date on it, and that's how I showed up, dude. I'm there with no orders. The last guy they called, just standing there. They're like, what's your name, Ranger? I was like, Ranger Glenn, John J, one each. And they were like, dude, we have nowhere on this list. I'm like, hey, I don't know, dude. I got my orders right here, He's like, all right, if you pass PT test, we'll figure it out. And Thompson, if you're watching this. Yeah, Thompson, if you're watching this, is Ranger Thompson. He's my RI. He was like, hey, where you coming from? I was like, 3rd group. Well, he had just went to selection. He was becoming an 18 Bravo. He goes, what MOS? I said, 18 Bravo. He said, I'm going to be an 18 Bravo. I said, dude, I can tell you everything you need to know. So that was my in to get into school. I was like, hey, just make sure I stay here. He's like, all right, cool, dude. So if Thompson, if you see this, man, hit me up, man. Yeah, so that's basically I got in Ranger School without orders. So.
Awesome. And so that was following the...
Yeah, I was a Green Beret now for 3 or 4 years. Got 2 or 3 deployments under my belt. So.
Yeah, but we didn't talk about 9/11. So you come back from Kenya, right?
Yep.
Does that happen before you push again?
No, we went on another JSET somewhere else. I can't remember where. Okay. Don't make me lie. We went on another JSET, came back, and then after that JSET, we were training. Then we went to Beta, Nevada. Mm-hmm. And Beta, Nevada is where I was when September 11 kicked off.
And we talked about how that happened when you came in from
I came in from a run. Yep, I've been running that morning. I went running that morning. I came in. We were in a little Beta, Nevada. The hotel's made like houses, based ranch style. Your little rooms are right there together. Mm-hmm. And all the doors are open. So we had the whole backside, the whole ODA is 12 of us. Well, not one, it was like 9 or 10 of us. We got the whole backside and everybody's doors are open. I'm like, why the hell these guys got the doors open? Because we got our shit in our rooms. And I walk in and everybody's in one room. They're in the commander's room at the time, and everybody's just standing there. Dude, little small TV, big box TV. Yeah. And everybody's just staring at it. I'm like, hey, what's... And everybody's like, hey, shut the fuck up, dude. Be quiet. I'm like, what the hell are y'all watching? I think it's movie night or something. And they're all watching the birds going to the trade centers, man. It's like... And
so I would assume that, following those calls that you guys got there, things just accelerated pretty quick for you.
Dude. Yeah, dude. Once we got our stuff, we got the phone call, the phone rang, everybody's just like staring at it. Like, hey, get your shit, you're going back to Nellis. Get to Nellis, get back to Bragg. Like, hey, and everybody's like, hey, we're going to war. Commander's like, hey guys, get our shit packed up, we're going to war. So we drive into Nellis, man.
What's the experience, the emotions in the room when that conversation comes down to a bunch of critical skills operators?
It's quiet at first, dude, because you're still trying to process it. Mm-hmm. And then I think either me or Troy Letier, I can't remember, one of us was like, oh shit, we're going to war, you know. And then it's like, woo!
Yep.
Everybody start yelling, dude. Shit's getting packed up. Now it's like
normalize the positive emotion.
I normalize the positive emotion, but then it still didn't set in. You know, it's still like it's not real. It's not real. It's not real. Once we got back to Bragg, man, we landed at Bragg. We went to Nellis, got on a plane, and then we get back to Bragg. Dude, we get back to Bragg, walk back in the company, and I remember going into the company, and there's just boxes everywhere. Man.
And you, what's your rank at this point?
I'm an E6 at this point.
Okay.
E6, yeah. And there's boxes everywhere. Or was I at E7? No, I was at E6 at this point. Boxes everywhere, dude. We're peeping in boxes. It's like brand new,
like
Mark
all
19s.
New gear and shit.
Oh, it's all new gear, all new guns. We're like, hell yeah! Like,
where has
really
this
going to
been?
war.
Exactly. Where has this been? Now it's starting to set in, dude. Like, oh yeah, this might be real.
They're not fucking around.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, they're just joking with it. It's like, nah, dude, this shit's real.
Yeah.
And I remember after that, man, the next week was just all briefings. Like, hey, this is what we're doing. People trying to get this shit in order, dude. And it's like, holy shit, dude. Like, oh, we're doing this, you know. So, and then the rest, man, we fly into Kuwait, staged out of Kuwait. And then fucking.
Will you start doing strikes out of Kuwait?
Yeah, we was pushing. Well, we staged in Kuwait, and then that's when Anaconda kicked off.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And Anaconda kicked off, dude, and then it just.
And you were truck mounted, I assume, in Kuwait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in SF, you got the different teams. You got scuba teams, Halo teams, and at the time I was on a ruck team, which was just a ruck team. We infield through GMVs, got out. You walked everywhere, you carried everything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we were both in Helo Company. I was in Helo Company, every company I was ever in.
Okay.
Unfortunately, because that meant I had to do like the dunk tank and all the Haze Fest games with the water, which is necessary. I get it, but yeah, dude, I understand the ruck side of it. I mean, you guys did probably way bigger movements than us, but when we went in Marja, we dropped in birds, and I didn't see a vehicle again.
Yep.
What? Several months.
Couple months.
And then it was like a ride to a new place.
Like, hey, there they go.
I remember the first time when we went from Hanson out to 5 Points, we got in trucks and I felt like we were going warp speed.
And
Nice.
We've been on the
like
Cadillacs for a couple of months, banging, and then you get in trucks and it's like, you're like, oh my God, we're going 40 miles an hour, dude. This is insane.
I feel like you're in Mach 12.
It feels so dangerous. I don't see what they're running over, because you're used to watching every step for the IEDs and just different shit. And then you get.
Why are y'all going so fast? Like we're doing 25. Like just calm down.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it.
It's like the same feeling you get when you get home and you get to drive your POV
You just
for
want to drive
the
your
first
truck.
time.
That's
You're
me,
like,
dude. I just want to drive my truck.
You're like, oh yes, I remember this. I remember you.
That's
it, man. So Kuwait, now you're moving into Iraq.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then we're just moving into Iraq, staging in Iraq, doing stuff there. Little pockets here and there, doing some SR missions here and there, and then trained up. And it's like, all right, dude, we're going to Afghanistan. And then a couple other teams went in before we went in.
And you stayed going back to Afghanistan after that, right?
Oh my God,
you
dude,
said you had 10
9
there?
more times after that.
Yeah.
And every one of them was, I ain't gonna say it was better than the last one, but every one of them was better because it's like we said earlier, you get experience, you learn.
Shit,
Hey, dude, this is what this is the enemy tactics. This is what they're doing. This is how they're doing it.
Yep, we talked with James Finney on one of the last episodes about that same thing about how you can make yourself better. Through learned experience. So you can go get that experience, but for the SF kid that's sitting in the pipeline somewhere, guess what? There's a bunch of books right now that talk about all those things that you're getting ready to experience. And if you read that book and you get that in your head, then when you face it in real life, you're infinitely better at it the first time that you do it because you already got learned experiences out of the books or out of the training or out of the senior guides or whatever. I'm big on the reading because we don't do that a lot anymore, and there's so much knowledge from the beginning of war written till now that there's just so much out there to soak up to make you a better war fighter in that situation. The problem is trying to get people to do it, especially alpha male pipe hitters that are out training all day and all they want to do when they get off is, party or relax.
That's it. CLP. That's it. I used to tell my young guys, man. I used to tell them I call it a war game. It's just a war game, dude. War game and what if?
Like
what
TDGs and stuff.
Yeah, it's a war game. Like, hey, dude, we're driving right here. If I get shot from right there, what am I going to do? If I get hit from right here, what am I going to do? If I get blown up right there, what am I going to do? And I tell guys, all that's doing is formulating a plan in your brain.
Already starting the process.
So you don't have to think about it. You know what I mean? Like, hey, when I'm already 30 yards ahead of you, It's because I have a war game. What I'm going to do now? You're playing catch up because you did.
Yeah, let's go to baseball for that. You played baseball as a shortstop and a pitcher, and every single time, I'm playing shortstop or third base, and that pitcher's in his windup, I'm telling myself, you're rolling 2, you're going to 1, you're cutting off if it's to right field, and then boom, one of those things happens, and I'm like you said, my body's already going because it's already had that conversation. I also do it with like important conversations I'm going to have with business people, whoever I'm going to talk to, sponsors, and it's like I want to have that conversation in my head, and then it's not one conversation, it's one for me, but then I want to play out everything that I think possibly could be said by the other person, and then play that conversation out. Okay, if he says this, I'm going to go here. If he says this, and that's just war gaming.
It's war gaming
in a different light. Yeah, absolutely. So super important there. So I want to talk about some of your more intense. That was you. Okay, so a while ago, I don't know, a couple years ago, I'm scrolling through Funker combat videos.
Oh, yeah, you texted that night. You texted like 3 in the morning. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing up at 3 in the morning?
Yeah, man. I was up late by myself, like just getting my oorah on in the couch over there. And I'm like, I'm watching in this, like, okay, this guy's like, I don't know if he had a M60. It didn't look like a 240, but it could have been.
I think I had a saw.
It was something.
It was, I can't remember.
One of them SF saws that don't look normal to me.
Yeah, I had a shorty down, dude. It was nice. It was nice.
So this white kid you're not white.
Rusty.
Okay, Rusty. Yep. Rusty, and he's freaking the fuck out
he's
on a
blazing
ridge.
It. Oh, yeah.
And hey, Rusty, no shame. I'm not saying there's no shame. I didn't freak out like that ever. But you had different situations, different dynamics. But I'm watching, and this guy is like, got the pig to the shoulder. He's like, they're right there.
Yeah. But that's Rusty, though. That's Rusty.
And then you come sliding in like you are, like Johnny motherfucking Glenn. You just come like morphing into the scene, like doing a baseball slide. And you're like, yo, dog, what are you doing? He's like, they're right there. And like, unbeknownst to him, and probably known to you, you had Airstrike coming in.
Yeah.
So you're trying to tell this dude, like, we're going to be okay, cuz.
It's danger close.
He's like, no, we're not going to be okay. I can see their eyeballs. And he's shooting, and then you're like, all right, dog, do what you got to do. And you, like, leave him, and then the airstrike comes in. And then, like, the light bulb goes on in his head, like, okay, maybe I could have just sat down for a minute.
So, Rusty's my right-hand man. I hope he watches it, too. Me and Rusty always got them ticks together, man. Always in firefights together. So I used to always tell Rusty would always say, what it is, Johnny, they think I'm your bodyguard. I'm like, no, dude, you're white, so they think I'm your bodyguard. So we'd always be up front. And that day, I just left Rusty, actually, walking back towards the back, because I love being on my feet. I mean, I've been bowling a few times, so I don't like being in the vehicle because I like to be away from them. Well, somebody came over to radio, and if you watch that, you hear me say, somebody said Rusty's hit, is what they were saying.
So you was going over to check on him?
Yeah, I was fucking getting up there. Rusty's hit, dude. I got to go fucking fix him, But he wasn't hit. And what the kid was saying, he was saying something about the truck had got hit. But the truck had took rounds on it, and either radio, somebody got hit on the truck. But over the radio, with all the chaos going on, it sounded like Rusty's hit.
You're like, oh, that's my dude.
And I'm like, shit, I got to get up there. Rusty's hit. And I get up there, and you hear me I'm going off. I'm telling Rusty, I'm like, somebody on the fucking radio said Rusty's hit. We need to get off the radio, all this chatty catty shit. If you don't need to, and that's exactly what I say on there. If you don't need to be talking on the radio, don't fucking talk. I was like, oh my God, dude, all these chatty catties on the radio, I'm going off. And then I'm trying to open, he needed more ammo. And literally, dude, we killed 20, 30 bad guys that day. They were literally where Rusty was. It was definitely. And he was trying to hit him. You could see him, but you couldn't get the round.
And you could tell that in the video because he was angry that he couldn't hit him.
He was pissed off.
He's like, they're right fucking there.
Oh, dude, he was pissed.
And so maybe it wasn't freak out. Maybe
it
was
just frustration. He was mad. That's
it's
Rusty.
just like, I see them and I can't.
Oh no, he
them.
wasn't freaking out, dude. Me and Rusty probably been in 50 to 100 firefights.
And so
every firefight he was like that.
Freaking out. I'm not saying freaking out like, oh, he was spazzing. I'm just saying he was like.
He couldn't shoot him.
He was noticeably pissed off that he couldn't kill him.
Oh, dude, they're right there.
They're right there, and I can't
fucking get him. He couldn't get him. Oh, he was pissed. You should have saw him, dude. He was like trying to punch the gun. Like, you watch him shoot. He's punching it like, how do I bend this bullet over that heel right there? Oh, yeah. He's like, brother, they're right there. And I was like, all right, dude. And I'm trying to get the damn rounds out of the 60. Or, I'm sorry, out of the 249, we had the canister.
Yep, the drum.
And for whatever reason, dude, our infantry kids had put a zip tie on it. So if you watch me, dude, I'm struggling with this fucking thing, trying to get it. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? So then I finally, people say you can't break zip ties. That's a lie, dude. I'm turning it, and it finally pops. I'm like, thank God, dude. So I handed it to Rusty. He's like, fuck, dude. He's like, yeah, I'm almost black. And then you hear the war dog coming. And after the shot, Roger's like, hell yeah, right there. Because the first rounds, where we were, you see it, dude. Like, oh yeah, those bodies. Oh yeah. And then, dude, Rusty, you hear him say, hell yeah, right there. Chris was our J-Tag. Bring him back right there, dude. Bring him back around for a re-attack right there. Then they come back in again, dude. Yeah. And mows him down because where they were, dude, after we, cleared and then we did our back clear afterwards. Dude, they had a perfect spot, man. So where we were, it was like almost like a V angle where they could see us. But, dude, you couldn't get over it, man. That's why he was like, they're right, fuck. Like, he's like, I want to put rounds. I just can't hit him, Johnny. Yeah, so, but yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good firefight, dude. And that was, every time we would go through that area, through the pass there, we'd always get hit. It was a good spot because we would sit, like, on the lower ground and then they're right on the high ground. But then once you DD them out of the truck, now you're on the high ground, but it's a defilade, so you couldn't, it's almost like a little cliff. You couldn't see them. But they had just enough angle where they could see
silhouette you.
They could silhouette you on the top. Yeah, dude, it was terrible. It was perfect for them, man.
Did they take anybody?
Who did?
Did they hit any of you guys?
No, they didn't hit any of us, man. Our trucks. They hit our trucks up because the trucks hit higher than the humans. But they shot up some of our trucks, but no, we didn't take any loss that day. Then our infantry kid, man, shout out those guys, 10 Mountain guys. They were back to our little mortar teams. They were dropping mortars, man. But where they were, dude, you was just right over the top. But you almost had to shoot the mortar
vertical
straight up in the air just to get it there, man.
Push it a little bit.
Yeah. But old Brett was back there on the mortar. Brett, he was our 18 Echo at the time. He was back there on the mortar with the infantry kids. And they were getting it, dude. Yeah, shout out Brett was doing it, man. Brett was doing his thing that day. And the infantry kids, they were getting it too. So
that's what's up. That's good times.
We ended up killing quite a few guys that day, man. And I think we came back 2 days later and killed more guys. That was a place where if you wanted to bang. Yeah, if you wanted to bang, just like the Hellman. If you wanted to bang, go to Rabat Pass, man. And within a matter of minutes, dude, you're freaking.
Oh, we had lines, northings and southern lines that we knew. All you had to do was go 1 foot across that northing, and you're.
Wait a second. Give it a minute.
Say 3 letters.
RTB.
RTB,
and that's it. Yep, that's it.
Yeah, they became cowards in Afghanistan, in Marja for us, in short order. But they had never. Like we were first boots on deck in a helicopter in that area, really. I mean, they had some shaping, some ATF, some CIA that went in and shaped and got positions for us and stuff like that. But no real Americans had been there to show them why they should not fuck with us.
Exactly.
And then we got there and it took 35 days probably of us really fucking them up before they were like, okay, we're going to regroup and maybe bring in some foreign fighters and some combat replacements and then from there it became, hey, all right, boys, it's RTB. And as soon as we would turn our backs, they're hitting us. Yeah. And then they're hitting us and fleeing on mopeds and stuff, playing shadow games back and forth. So it became, and I'll tell you one thing the Taliban did, at least in Marjan, I don't know if you dealt with this in other places, but they were very good at playing the psychological warfare game. Because I would, or him or one of my guys, we put people down, boom, 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 and you're watching them. And you might zip him 2-3 more times because he's crawling towards his weapon still. Bop, 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 and you know he's dead. He's laying there, spread out. You've hit him 6-8 times. You're watching him. He's not breathing. You go to do a battle damage assessment. You don't find blood. You don't find casings. You don't find weapons. You don't find a body.
They're good at that.
And man, like, I don't even know if they were doing it intentionally. My guess is I always say they're doing it intentionally so that I'm not letting them get ahead of me, right? I want to bet that they're doing that intentionally. But it could have just been their...
It's just religious.
They're going to clean their stuff. But for the Marine that comes up to confirm and get the weapon off the body and there's nothing's there except for wet sand, and you just start going, what the... What, and it was so, whatever, shout out to that tactic. If it was for real, if it was just your religion, then it was convenient.
They're supposed to bury within 24 hours.
Yeah, bury within 24 hours. They're supposed to clean them up, wrap them, and all
I know, but that doesn't mean you pick up shell casings from a firing position and wash blood off of sand. But that part, though, if you think about it, like I grew up on a farm, they become very resourceful. You think about it, that shell casing. They use everything.
I can put that shell casing inside an IED. Now I got foreign objects flying around hitting you.
Yeah.
So they got to get rid of all that stuff, man.
That's a great point.
They got to pick it all up, dude.
Yep. It all goes in the wheelbarrow.
And the guy runs off with it. Like, what is he doing? It's like the clown car. Right. Like, what is he going?
Well, they started in Marja with white vans, and that was like their way of saying that this is like our ambulance, right? They didn't paint crosses on them or nothing. And in the beginning, we kind of gave them that, like I would say. And it didn't last long because then they would be reinforcing red lines while they're picking. And so then you drop an incendiary on all those, and they turn to wheelbarrows.
I'll tell you a story about brass later on.
Yeah, they learn
offline. You too. I've never told you that either.
Yeah, they learn tactics and shit like that.
The other thing that I think I always try to reinforce, especially for the young warriors that are out there and the hitters that are still getting after it, is like don't assume. You've heard this before, but don't assume because they don't have running water that they can't figure out tactics plans. They're watching you 24 hours a day. 24 They're counting how many guys are coming out on patrol. They're counting how many guys are going in. And like in Marja, we were able to use that against them. Mm-hmm. Once we realized, we had some ICOM chatter guys telling us what they're saying and, hey, they're counting y'all out. And so we would start to use that against them and say, cool, we're going to go out just before dusk, let them count 28 bodies out. And then after an hour and it's pitch black out, I'm sending half of them back and I'm going to remain. And then the rats would come out of the woodwork, man. Because they're being told that, hey, that squad just got back. You're good. Go pick up whatever. Go set whatever. And then all of a sudden the field starts scurrying and it's like.
We do a few stay behind missions like that too, man. We dress in man jams or whatever. And
Oh, yeah. Now, we never did that. We never
you had
could
the real
do that.
fun.
Yeah, you got to do more than more of the blending in than we did. I don't think I would have blended in there very good.
No, actually, dude, you would have, because I've seen a lot of red beard. A lot of them,
it's
dude.
those Russian SF babies from 20 years ago.
Yep, that's it.
I'd had no problem blending in with a tan.
No, you'd have been good. You have like the beard for it and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, ratty ass beard.
Yep, pretty much.
I'm just kidding.
I'll tell you something else they do, now that you say psychologically. They would do that a lot too on the radio, because they knew our interpreters would have the little walkabouts. And they'd be like, hey,
false information.
Oh, yeah, go left, go right. Hey, they're moving right there. Stop right there. And of course, we'd be like, hey, dude, where the hell are they at? Because you want to have the upper hand on them. But they would do that.
Yep,
hey, bring 20 fighters over on this side.
Yep.
You learn real quick, dude. You're not mustering that many people together, but okay, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, you learn it quick.
Oh, yeah.
But that first time.
First time you're not. You're like, oh, shit.
Dude, the big one?
They're coming.
We were in a Oh, yeah. So the big one. We'll talk about that in the book.
And
the big one was a mule. So we're doing an action right. My squad was the base of fire. And we're fixing a machine gun bunker. And when I say machine gun bunker, I didn't think I'd ever fight anything like this. Right. I thought this was of the old days.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a machine gun bunker right here, T-wall barriers, concrete barriers on it, six firing ports, and about 150 meters over, mutually supporting.
I've seen a couple of those.
The same thing. And this is right there by Camp Hansen in the center of Marja.
Yep.
And we fought that thing, and we fixed that in the morning, and man, we were getting after it, and then we did an action right on it. Well, what was the point of that? Oh, the mule. So in the middle of the chaos, I mean, we're getting after
ICOM chatter.
I fired it, took a law off his back and fired it into it, and it like, boom, direct hit out of all the ports, and it's like, well, fuck, like, okay,
you open the horns,
and I'm like, you're like, sir, do we got anything bigger? Like, what do we do now? And so in the midst of all that, I'm running two 240s, 3 saws, law rockets. We got what were the birds? Cobra section comes in and they're supporting us. And in the midst of all that, ICOM chatter Marines get an interception that say hit them with the big one. Well, they start passing that down the line. So everybody's like, hey, they're gonna hit us with the big one. Eyes peeled. Bop, 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 right? You pass it down the line. And it won't like maybe 10 minutes or so after that finally got disseminated through at least my little element, and now element 2 and 3 are about to go up and do an action right. And here comes this mule, and it comes out of the bazaar where the people that we're fighting are at, and it's got this thing on its back that's like 3 foot wide, probably 3 foot tall on his back, and it's staying on his back, like it's tied there, and it's covered with a tarp. And to this day, nobody has fessed up to who it was, but somebody in my element yelled, "It's the big one!" And the entire platoon reinforced shifts off of known machine gun bunkers onto a mule.
That's it.
And this mule ate it, man.
It's a big one.
But still, like, we're just trying to take steps.
It was like something out of a fucking movie, Johnny. He was like, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, "Bah," and he's like still coming at us, right? And we're like, holy fucking shit. It's not going to fucking die.
It's an animal bid, not a V bid. It's an animal bid.
Yeah, it's a donkey bid.
D bid.
And so,
D bid, I like it.
Yeah, D bid. And so the big one goes down, and we're like, fuck, I hope that doesn't explode. Back to the machine gun bunkers. Blah, blah, blah. But what I always say is funny to people is like, when you really think that your life is in peril and you got something serious, it's crazy what your mind will believe.
Oh, yeah.
It was 3 foot of dried up poppy stems. This mule was scared and running.
Yeah.
But because we heard release the big one,
oh yeah,
everybody instantly and all at one time when the call went out that was the big one, there was no orders needed. Everybody
didn't need them.
Don't care what that is. It needs to die before it reaches an effective.
I would have thought it was a bomb.
And like I told him,
I mean, what else are you going to think?
Oh, yeah.
like I told him, around the corner comes a white van. We're not even talking about it right now.
No.
But because it was a mule.
It was the big one.
It was the big one.
Yep, we'd iced the guy, innocent or
Done.
not, because of hostile act and hostile intent of what our perception, and it would have been done, and it wouldn't have been a story. But here comes this giant mule just getting
phenomenal.
after it, man.
I love it.
Crazy what your mind will believe.
That's
so,
good.
all right, so Johnny, like, I'm not going to go over your entire chest because it's distinguished, right? So, but I do want to talk about Valor. I've talked about Valor with Finney. I'm going to talk about Valor on the next episode with John Wayne Williams. I think you might know him too.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have some Valor devices, and I just want to kind of, customarily people grow up not wanting to ask those questions. Right. And I think that we can bridge the military-civilian divide a little bit by just putting those answers out there. So Valor is... Valor's award, a combat V or a Valor device, is an award that can be attached to an award, right? So you get to be a Bronze Star. You can get a Bronze Star for non-valorous or non-combat action. Correct. Because you safeguarding a unit, maybe it's logistics, maybe it's planning, these things. But when you see somebody that has Valor on their chest, and we talked about this with Finney, and that's why I feel comfortable enough with our relationship that I can ask these questions to you, and we can put this out there to people. But these aren't questions that, the reason that they tell you not to ask these questions is because generally when you see stars and V's on somebody's chest, regardless of the color, that may be the worst day of their life that they live through.
Yes.
For a lot of people, it can be some of the best days of their lives, and it can be both. It can be the best, worst day of their life. Mm-hmm. So it's probably good if you don't have a personal relationship or a fighting relationship or camaraderie with the person, probably to not bring that up. That's a personal thing. But on this show, I want to bring it up. That way, anybody that wants those questions answered, they can come do it here. They can go to Jocko, they can go to Andy Stump, they can come here, they can come to any of these podcasts that are putting this out and just kind of bridge that and realize what people are doing for them that they don't know about. Because most people see the romanticized version of war through Hollywood.
Correct.
And then you have something like the withdrawal from Afghanistan and it shuts people down and they're like, this is real. It's because they don't know it's real. Mm-hmm. And part of that is beautiful to me because it's like we live in a nation that is so good and so free that our people don't even know what their military does on behalf of them or really what countries they're in or what actions they're taking. Right. And a lot of times this is, 20 to 30-year-old, men, boys in the beginning and men at the end. And in my opinion, I think it's good that the ones that want to know have an outlet that they can go and find out what exactly is going on. So I just kind of want to hear, we don't have to go into all of them, but I just want to kind of hear some of your fonder moments under fire.
I would say some of my fonder moments under fire was definitely when we didn't take casualties because you don't want to get your buddies killed or hurt or injured or anything in combat. And then just to go back, rewind what you were saying just now, I think the stigmatism that's put on Valor Awards is just like the stigmatism put on PTSD. I hear people say, "Oh my God, they got PTSD. It makes them crazy. Something's wrong with them." No, it's not. It's just they just got to deal with it. You got to figure out what it is. It's natural. You did
unnatural things, maybe against your moral and ethical code that you were raised with, and then you're going to have remnants of that throughout your life, probably.
Exactly.
And that is normal.
Exactly. That is the normal. And that's just like, you take a bunch of operators, like just us sitting here, most people, the things we would say to each other and do, they would say we're abnormal or we're crazy. No, we're not. That's our normal.
They don't want to golf with us.
Yeah, they don't want to golf with us. Yeah, exactly. That's our normal. But I say one of my fondest memories of a firefight, we got in a firefight one time with the team, put off into this village that we hadn't been to before, and I'll use first names, that way I don't put guys out there. But Steve wanted to go to this village, check it out. We were all like, yeah, let's go check it out. So we went to this village, and I remember I got out of the truck, and I handed this kid a piece of candy, because I always had Jolly Ranchers or something. Gave this kid a piece of candy, kid kind of ran off. And, if you've ever been in Afghanistan, any type of combat situation, if you roll in a village and nobody's there or not a lot of people's around.
Atmospherics.
Yeah, something's going on. Mm-hmm. But what was different about the situation that day we rolled in there, which didn't, I think, threw us for a loop, was that there were people walking around. There was kids. There was village elders. There was women. Of course, when they pull up, they kind of start scurrying off. But as soon as we pulled up, I remember giving the kid a candy. Kid kind of walks off. And then as soon as we was going back to our trucks, that place just opened up. I'm talking open up. There were bad guys everywhere. And they were popping out from behind buildings. I think the first guy that I encountered was probably about 8 to 10 yards maybe. Raised up an AK, and which this is one of those times where...
Now, are these spider web roads just kind of like you have, and so you're going to come around a corner and there's walls everywhere, so it's not like you can see, so it's blind.
Yeah, it's blind.
So you're coming around this corner and then boom, they're on you 30 feet away.
So they call those places the bazaars. You guys been there, you know what I'm talking about. So you got bazaars, you got little alleyways, you got little cubbies that you can jump into. Well, the first guy I encountered was right off the main road. I'm walking back towards my truck, and there the guy just pops up out of a cubby with an AK. Stitched this guy up, and then after we stitched that guy up, it just kind of opened up. It literally, guys were everywhere. And what we didn't
Was this a coordinated, like a decisive ambush engagement on you?
I would definitely say it was a decisive ambush, definitely. Okay. And if we talked about it as a team, if that guy would have waited another 10, 15 seconds, we probably would have took a ton of casualties.
Would have been a way.
It would have been. Oh yeah, it would have been atrocious. Yeah, it would have been ugly.
So you stitched this guy up, and then guys are just coming out of the woodwork.
And then out of that, guys just start coming out of the woodwork. I guess that guy was, if I had to guess, he was the trigger. Like once he fires, we all fire.
Yep.
And we had guys running out of little shops with guns, and it was chaos. Because now you got the people that were locals, they couldn't have been in on it because they were running either right by us or around us, and the guys were switched on pretty good. And that piece of the firefight lasted probably about 10 minutes maybe. And then we're fighting our way through, and now these guys take off, and right behind the bazaar, well, most of the time, it falls off into a gully, or we call them creek beds, fell off into a creek bed. And me, Steve, and TJ, another guy on the team, we started chasing these other guys that was in the fire break. I'm leading point. I got on a black shirt. I always wore black shirt, black T-shirt, short sleeve. I had on regular BDU pants. I had on Teva sandals because my feet had started cracking. So I wasn't going to go on a mission. I was like, no, I'll go. We're going to, because we went to Kandahar just to plush ourselves up and get lickies and chewies. And I remember we was chasing after these guys, and then it was probably about 15 or 20 of them. So they had to have a rendezvous because they was falling back to it. And lo and behold, if my guys, they know exactly where we were, but we were close to Pakistan. So these guys were actually trying to fight themselves back into Pakistan. So hit us, retreat back into Pakistan, re-kit, come back, do it again. So we ended up chasing these guys, just got short of Pakistan. Steve's on the horn with air. We chased these guys a couple miles, actually.
Yeah.
Definitely away from our main element, if you will, away from our trucks.
And there's 3 of you.
And it's 3 of us. So, but I saw the guys as we started chasing them. The first guys I saw was probably 3, 4 guys. Wasn't that many. And then right when I seen them pop up to come shoot, they've been in the corners. I'm like, all right, we got to get to that corner. And we leapfrogged that for probably a mile almost.
Mile of bloody motion.
Yep, that's it. You're just trotting. Right when you break a corner, you try to take the corner, there they go. And I remember we got up to one corner. We're getting ready to turn the corner, and I stitched up 2 more guys right there real quick. I ain't going to say I saved Steve's life, but he was in the vicinity. TJ was in the vicinity. Stitched those guys up, and then after that, we were back on a fit chase. And then we got probably about a mile into it now. We've been running for a good little minute now. And Steve's actually saying, like, hey, we should, turn around. I'm like, dude, I just saw the guy make the turn. We're right there. 100 yards. Let's just get to that turn. We'll see him. We get that turn, then it's the next turn. And you just, God. And you're basically just leapfrogging. So then we get the helicopter overhead, and then we got the helicopters overhead, and then the guy in the helicopter's like, hey, we got a guy in black. And, of course, my team leader's talking them on, like, hey, follow the creek bed, plenty of freaking turns. Our first guy's wearing a black T-shirt, yada, yada, yada. I'm 5-10 paces behind him. I got on a brown T-shirt with BG pants. So he's talking to me and trying to get these guys talking on so you can hear him coming. And then by this time, as we walk around, we make one more bend, the wadi opens up, probably about as wide as, I'd say 20, 30 yards wide maybe. So you could drive a truck through it now. So now Steve's up on line with me, almost up on line with me. TJ's coming up on the left. Now we're actually doing a...
Now you're in the work.
Yeah, now we're in the work. And then I remember as soon as we banked around that corner, we turned left. As soon as we turned left, it's probably a couple 100 yards. So we stitched up 2 dudes, man, and like right in the back, guys fell, and the guys in front of them never looked back. So now we catch up with these guys, get to their point, step over these guys, kick the guns away.
What'd you think about that when they didn't even turn around?
It kind of shocked me at first they didn't turn around.
Like cold-blooded not to turn around almost.
Yeah, it was
like
almost cold-blooded.
To help or something.
Exactly, but I don't think they even heard the shots after everything was going on, because I remember...
Are you guys canned up?
No, we're not canned up at all. Not at all.
Okay.
Steve was canned up. Actually, Steve was canned up. Me and TJ wasn't. Steve was canned up. Because I remember I took a knee on the first shot.
And is TJ carrying a saw still on this one?
No, TJ's carrying an M4 on this one. Yeah, he left his saw in the truck. So TJ's carrying an M4. I remember I took a knee, and I was like, and I was the point guy, so I took the first shot. I remember shooting a guy in the back the first time. He just kind of like, oh shit, like something's going on.
Something bit him.
And then TJ shot, Steve shot. You see these 2 guys drop. We ease up to those guys, kick guns away, step over them, and then right when we went to go turn the corner, we hear the pilots like, "Hey, we got him right here, we got him." And then the pilots told us I can't remember how far it was. It wasn't too far. It was like probably like 3-4K from the Pakistani border. And he's
you're
like,
running out of space.
and that's exactly what he said. Hey, you guys are running out of space, and we're running out of airspace. And he's like, "Hey, I can put these guys down with a rocket right now." And all of a sudden you hear, "Hey, tell that guy to take a knee up front." And Steve's like, "Johnny, take a knee." I take a knee. Steve and TJ take a knee behind me, and then you hear, "Shoof." And then all of a sudden over our radio, because I got an emitter, Steve's got an emitter. So you got your team freak, and then you got the air freak. And you hear the pilot over the radio, "It just cut that guy in half." And basically, he cut the guy in half. So we ease up to that. The pilot, he shot a couple more rockets. Then they're just like free for all. You hear, and then you like they're getting their gun on now.
They got their PID.
Oh yeah, they did. They definitely got their PID. And then pilot pulled up to us and he goes, "Hey, can you guys just go do a quick BDA on that for us?" So we went up to we did a BDA on it, and we actually they actually ended up killing like 7 of those dudes, and then they ended up missing 4 or 5 that ended up getting in the pack. Yeah, because they said they couldn't go any further for the airspace. So then we went back through and we back cleared, and we got a whole bunch of batteries.
Was the guy really cut in half?
Yeah, he was cut in half, dude. I'm talking, I don't know if the pilot was shooting at his back, but he cut that guy completely in half. And we got up there, not to sound inhumane, but the guy was crawling off. His upper body was crawling off, and of course we did the humane thing of, put the guy down. And then his feet were still moving. It was crazy, man. Feet was moving because his body hadn't registered like, "Hey, dude, I'm dying." Guts and everything was coming out.
And he could have effectively already been expired at that point and been running on straight nerves, I would say, right?
Straight nerves. Yeah, I would say straight nerves. But he probably still could have killed somebody.
I'm saying there's no way that you're triaging this guy.
Oh, dude, we couldn't have treated that guy in a hospital. No, his guts were here, dude. And he was crawling off from him, like
dragging his intestines.
Yeah, he was dragging his intestines. You can tell.
Yeah, I only experienced that one time, and it was I was a boot squad leader. I was a Lance Corporal squad leader, promoted to corporal right before we left for Iraq. And we had this HVT, we called him JJ. It was like, they called him like Jobby Johnson or something from Swordfish, the movie. They gave him like weird name, right? And he lived in Karabla, which is where I was working in Iraq at the time. His family lived there. Well, we had heard he got released from prison, and I was ripping in at the time. So I was traveling so the way we do it, when we come on deck, we do like a right seat, left seat, like a rip toe, right? Transition of authority. And so I'm right seat rolling with the guys that have been there. And all of a sudden they get a react. They're like, yo, get that new squad leader, me. Yo, get him on the truck. So we take off after this, call. And the call was that JJ was in town at his mom's house, and we needed to go cruise by because he was like HVT number whatever, high on the list for our area or low on the list for our area. And we go out there. Well, by the time my react truck pulls up, a Mark 19, a truck with a Mark 19 had already engaged. JJ had an S-vest on, running on foot away from the truck. And it didn't make sense to me because it's like, I don't know if he just cowered out on the martyr because he had the S-vest, and you would think they're coming at you, like run at him and detonate. But he must have got scared, or wasn't the time, or maybe he didn't have his marching orders and was just trying not to be compromised, or whatever the case. But he had S-vest with 4 82mm mortars, pink det corded together. And so it was a shoot on command when you see that. So the Mark 19 gunner shot, one burst, and same thing. Like his legs and stuff were gone completely mangled off. They weren't twitching or nothing. But by the time I got there, he had already crawled through the sand maybe like 15 meters, which is actually impressive to me that somebody can go that far on straight nerves and adrenaline. But same kind of thing. It was grotesque, man, because this guy's carrying 15 foot of large intestines dragging out behind him. And you're like, that's a hell of a thing to see. You don't see that shit all the time. So that's a wild thing, man.
Yep.
Wild thing. Well, Johnny, I think I'm going to give you the last shot here. I think we're at a couple hours. We had a good talk. Why don't you impart your Johnny Glenn knowledge to the people? Anything that you want for warfighters coming up and veterans?
Yeah, what I like to say to veterans is that, first off, thank you for your service. And what I like to say to warfighters is, like Ryan said earlier, man, keep doing what you're doing, and don't worry about that big picture, because we'll never figure out the big picture or the big playbook, as we call it, on what politicians are doing. I used to tell my guys, we're going to affect the things that we can affect. We're going to make changes to make them better for us and the people that we're protecting, and that's all we can do. And then wish that the politicians, the decision makers, that they get it right. You know,
and then that's all you can do, because effectively once they're voted in, that's their decision, and once they make it, you know, it's not our job to worry about how they came to the conclusions and the decisions and policy actions that they did. It's our job then to go enforce those as long as they are legal and lawful.
That's it.
And be professional about it. So, man, I can't appreciate you enough and thank you enough for coming out and doing this for me. First Army guy on the show. I think we opened that up properly. Awesome. And I would love to talk to TJ and some of these other guys, and we can make that happen. And
definitely Rusty.
The more and Rusty, the stuff that we can put out to veterans and to the pipe hitters that are out there still banging down range. Okay, so we talked about earlier offline or maybe online that the reading portion, right? Learned experience. This should be a conduit. A whole reason we want to do this is a conduit for information passing to guys that are either struggling because they've done these things already. This is what we can put out resource-wise. This is what we can put out knowledge-wise. Be proud of this. This isn't something to, you know, and that's not going to help everybody. There are resources that we're going to put out too. But also for the guys still going down range, listen to these stories. These are real stories of the last big engagements that we've had. And now the wartime, you know, is coming to a close, and we're out of Afghanistan, and we have over the horizon capabilities, and our SOF is going to continue operating. But in big fashion, the war has closed now, and that doesn't mean there's not another one coming. The Marine Corps never went 8 years without a major engagement of some kind. And for you Army SOF guys, for you MARSOC guys, you're going to keep operating. But for you guys in the Fleet Marine Corps, the Fleet Infantry, U-11 Bravos out there that are getting after it, read, listen to learned experiences, TDG and War Game all the time, and train all the time. There's no time for you not to be training.
Take your training seriously.
Take that from us and make it as realistic as you can for your junior guys, and it'll go a long way once you get downrange if you can do that. We by no means are God's answer to gunfighting and well, maybe Johnny Glenn is.
No, I'm just a fag. I'm a former action guy.
Former action guys, but if you listen to people's stories, you can have that experience in your head. Like for instance, I watched Jocko Willink's podcast a lot. He had, you know, Medal of Honor recipient Dakota Meyer on, and he'll tell you on that podcast that in his mission, in his Medal of Honor time, everything that could have possibly went wrong on that mission went wrong, both on friendly and enemy sides.
Yep.
And you have to plan for that. For instance, we had this sexy idea of when we came into Marja, we're coming in on birds, we're going to hit the ground, the gate's going to drop, we're coming off that thing, security circle, it's going to be sexy, go, go, go. That's how I had it in my mind. I came into a poppy field and an LZ that was 3 foot of sinking mud. And I had 7 weapons by the time the bird peeled off into the sky on a 54-man chalk. And it's like, this is
not the plan.
There's Murphy.
Murphy's there.
Murphy's wrench. Yeah. So anyway, Johnny, thank you. Matt, you got anything?
Thank you.
Thank you guys for having me.
It was excellent.
Anytime, brother. Anytime.
Yeah, loved it, man. Loved it. All right, guys. If you haven't bought Lines of Marja, check it out on Amazon. $16.99. It goes into way more detail than the first 6 episodes of the podcast did, and a lot of knowledge in there. We're going to be putting some combat footage of Johnny Glenn up as soon as I can get the rights through YouTube, and I'll put those on the social media page. You can put a face to the name and maybe some context to some of the stories that are being told. And we look forward to having Johnny Glenn back on in the future, and maybe next time bring a couple of the fellows with you, and
we'll do.
And we'll get after it and get some more information out there. But to everybody out there, we appreciate your time, and we'll see you next time on Choices Not Chances.
Thank you.
How we doing, everybody? This is the co-host of Choices Not Chances podcast, Matthew Charette. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Louisiana Gun Shop. The folks at Louisiana Gun Shop have been a longtime supplier of firearms and shooting supplies and services, as well as very good friends of mine. In episode 7 of the podcast, we interviewed the owner and founder, Harlan Boblet. At Louisiana Gun Shop, the sky is the limit when it comes to getting the firearms and accessories you want for your current or future firearms. They have a nice selection of handguns, rifles, and shotguns in stock, or can order just about any firearm you could want or need. They specialize in concealed carry handguns and custom AR-15 builds. In addition to firearms, they also carry ammo, suppressors, optics, and a wide variety of gun parts for the upgrade and maintenance of your firearm. If you want to get further in the upgrade side of things, they provide customization services such as Cerakote, laser engraving, and Kydex holsters. Louisiana Gun Shop is located on Highway 90 West in Broussard, Louisiana, just south of Lafayette. It used to be Louisiana Gun Shop did not have an online presence, but now I am happy to announce that their website is up and ready for business for online sales to all 50 states at louisianagunshop.com/pages/CNC. Louisiana Gun Shop also offers Louisiana residents concealed carry classes for a very reasonable price. Holland's experience in the concealed carry space when it comes to the laws and the do's and the don'ts is pivotal in attaining your Louisiana concealed carry license. As well as the firearm market, Harlan also conducts explosives training for Louisiana blasters licenses for oil field and special effects workers in Louisiana. Workers in these fields from out of state also need to have this training in order to complete work in Louisiana. So whether you need a firearm, upgrade your old firearm, targets and ammo for a range day, or you just like to talk to people who support the Second Amendment, Louisiana Gun Shop is your place, either in person or online. Remember, they are located on Highway 90 West in Broussard, Louisiana, just south of Lafayette, or online at louisianagunshop.com/pages/CNC. Check the episode description for the link. You can also follow them on Instagram and Facebook at Louisiana Gun Shop. A special thanks to Harlan and Jenny at Louisiana Gun Shop for sponsoring the show. Please support them so they can support us and keep the podcast free for all. Thanks, have a great day, Semper Fi, and God bless America.
Not too far. You're marking a building. Hit him. Yeah, that's good. That's a good shot. That's money. Yeah.